Thank you for registering for the Managing Your Cash and Save Thousands webinar. I've done this before, but not for a few years, and it's only from talking to clients again that we all need a refresher. But whether this is your first time on this or not, the main thing is that you have a pen and paper. I'll be emailing you a backup of this afterwards, and you can watch it again, pick up the key points, and hopefully manage your cash better and save thousands. What I'll be running through here is not taught in the schools. Of course it should be. It's not taught in the colleges either, and of course it should be. But for some reason, the powers that be in the educational sector don't seem to focus in on managing cash, you know. So no harm for me to run through it here, and hopefully we'll be able to do you a service that'll make you wealthier and less stressed. There's a statistic in America that 95% of business owners go to bed thinking of money, wake up thinking of money, and throughout the day worrying about money. So I'd say the same statistic is pretty high here, and at a guess, because it can be tricky. Like the money comes in and it goes, and you kind of wonder, when will I ever get out of this rut? Well, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But by properly managing your cash in a basic way, you should be able to save yourself thousands effortlessly and easily, and sleep easier at night. Okay? Just a few points about myself. I'm an accountant from County Galway, chartered accountant, trained at Pricewaterhouse, how to check accounts out and stuff like that. Did my time in Dublin, did my time in the Caribbean, came back to Ireland about 15 years ago on holiday, opened a business here, and I have three businesses at the moment that we run pretty much on a systemized basis. And there's been hiccups over the years. About 4 years ago, I was in an accident that knocked me out of action for about 2 years. But funnily enough, I had done a course like this prior to that, and a lot of the safeguards that I put in place in case something ever happened to me were there and saved the day. For once I won an award. There isn't many awards in business for accountants at the moment, but the Action Coach people, I'm very grateful to them giving me a Business of the Year for Conduct Awards last year. So thanks, lads, for that. What I aim to cover in the next 40 minutes, have your pen and paper, a cup of tea, and if you have any questions, type them in. But these are the items I'll be doing. Understanding your cash and where it comes from, understanding where your money goes. You might think you do know, but until you do what I'll show you, you won't quite get it. It just seems to go with the money. How to save money you didn't know you had. You'd be amazed what's out there. Understanding loans and credit. Seems straightforward, maybe not. And making your cash work for you instead of you killing yourself for cash. All right, let's get going. A few questions I'd ask you straight off. Just think about these as we kick off. When was the last time you felt financial pressure? Is it now? Is it every day? Or don't you feel it? Do you currently feel it? Would having more money lessen that feeling? Is it like a stress feeling in your chest, or just a worry all the time, like someone leaning on you? And when was the last time you felt free from that type of pressure? It's nice to think back to that and go back to these points. An item to write down for the moment on a scale of 1 to 10. Wealth. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10, whereby 1 is poor and 10 is wealthy? Most people don't define wealth, but if I said to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? If 10 is super wealthy and 1 is poor, what would you write down? Okay, now most people don't define wealth. It can be vague. And I'll just add something to the mix now, where if you included your family, your kids, your spouse, your parents, and how they're getting on, if you thought about them for a minute, have you great parents, great children that you really value? When you include the people close to you in life, and I ask you again to write down where you feel from a wealthy point of view, I'd say the score is higher. So initially you might have had a figure like 5 or 6, and now when I say throw in the people who are close to you, your figure is probably up around 8 or 9. So it is important to think outside the box. Wealth isn't all cash. It contributes to it, but you would certainly be able to do more for the people who mean the most to you if you didn't have financial pressure on you. So the ones who don't attain true wealth are the ones who give up easily, don't educate themselves, never focus in on getting the job done. You might get lucky, of course. You could win the lotto. Numbers could come up. Marry money, inherit it. Who knows? But generally, that only happens to no one I know. What we'll be doing now in the next 30 minutes is eliminate the items you are paying for that don't satisfy you. I'm after reading the slide there. Just we'll have you looking at what you spend your money on. Do you really need to spend money on everything that comes to mind, such as clothes, coffees, lunch out every day, bottles of wine, cigarettes? Cigarettes might satisfy you, but the key thing is you want to look at where our money is going, because so many people we run into them all the time that say, I don't know where the money goes. We'll be looking at a spending plan. We'll be looking at what you own and owe and see how can we get rid of what you owe. We won't be dealing with anything to do with investments or put money away or anything like that. That's for another day. Okay, so a whole separate webinar. Okay, just some thoughts for you. If I was to be your shadow for a month and I was walking around you, would I see you eating out lunch an awful lot, buying expensive coffees in Starbucks and Costa Coffee? Do you overpay your tax or pay it late or run into interest charges? That's a huge problem. Do you keep taking the money out of the ATM instead of going into the bank and withdrawing it, which is virtually free, but it's certainly way cheaper than the ATM machine? Are you buying clothes every time you go into town? You're getting coffees out of the wall. I mean, there's free coffee in Paddy Power and Boyle Sports. So you could technically go in there, get a coffee, and walk back to the office or onto the job. Mortgages, loans, credit cards, rent. Have you these all around you? On the saving versus borrowing, just bear this in mind. It is ludicrous to be saving money in a bank or post office at a 1% interest rate or 2% while at the same time borrowing for a car loan or some furniture at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on credit cards, 20%. So just bear that one in mind. Impulse buys. A great rule here is if you see something in the shop, you say, God, I think I'll buy that. Just ask them, put it aside, and think about it the next day. Do you still want it? Okay, if you do, that's fine. If you don't, you might wake up and say, you know what, I'm glad I didn't buy that. I don't really need it after all. Just the impulse buys are killers. Now, I work with a lot of retailers, and certainly our strategies, if you were a shop owner, I would be encouraging impulse buys. You want people coming in, partnering with the money on the spot. You know, if they've got 20 quid in the pocket, let's take it off them. Make it easy for them to spend. Okay, but I'm on your side of the fence now, whereby I don't want you spending money on stupid things that you regret you buying. And if you look in your wardrobe or in your garden shed, you probably see loads of items you're sorry you bought. Weekends away, we all love that. You often get your best thoughts when you're off, but do you need a weekend away every weekend? If you do and you're camping, listen, obviously that's budget stuff, but you know, hotels all that they eat money. So just to have quality weekends away would be a thought there. Main priority tonight is to manage yourself. It's a simple ABC approach. If you can't control yourself, you certainly can't manage or control others. So that's the moral of that tale. And we'll be dealing with financial protection. When it comes to financial protection, you yourself are the key thing here. Now I'm just going to click on a whiteboard, and but effectively, if this will let me draw a shape, which it might. Let me try it again. Yeah, ooh, look at that. That's good, isn't it? And okay, if this was, well, it's obviously a triangle. Financial protection is right at the base. If you don't have down here covered off, which is protecting yourself, you're gone. There's no point having cars, mortgages, loads of money in the bank if you get sick next week and can't pay for your health care or can't cover yourself if, say, you get a serious illness and you're out of work for 3 years. All the money will just disappear. It'll just go. Doctors, consultants, people who were your friends would take it. So financial protection is the main one here. So the items, write these down. Certainly you should be covering, have going our VHI or some type of health cover. It's going up every year. It's the type of stuff that could get an awful lot more expensive. It will get more expensive, but it certainly get a lot more, as could car insurance. So the item will be, if you're going to cut back somewhere, do not cut back on VHI, Bupa, or Quinn Healthcare, whichever you have, or if it's something different. These are musts, you know. If you're going hustle, you want to have private healthcare, you want to get in there, you want to get it fixed, you want to get out. Same way if you're abroad, it'll kick in then. And get it, simple as that. You also, in case you ever get a debilitating illness like cancer, we all know how common it seems to be now. Serious illness cover. It's an insurance policy, very cheap, depending on whether you smoke or not. If you smoke, it'd be twice the price. If you don't smoke, it'd be half the price. But it's a monthly expense that effectively, if you come down with something really serious that requires you attending ongoing treatment in order to get well again, well, it'll pay out a lump sum, probably clear your mortgages, and there'll be money left in the bank to cover you and your family while you get yourself right. You won't get that type of insurance again for those type of illnesses, though. It's like being a drink driver. They're afraid you'll drink again. So there's no point looking for this type of insurance after you've had an illness. You need to look at it before that. Same goes for life insurance. If something happens, it happens all the time. You don't know what's around next corner. That a lump sum of money is paid out to your dependents to clear your debts and hopefully leave them in relative comfort. And that's to be bought at the same time as serious illness cover. So next one is 2 months cash cover. If you broke your leg right now, couldn't attend work for 2 months, have you enough money to meet your main expenses every month? Now, first thing I have there, write down your basic expenses. The expenses that are going to happen, whether you are working or not, are probably the following. You're going to eat, you're going to have an ESB bill, you're going to have maybe a phone bill, mortgage or rent, and then maybe some travel costs every month. VHI will be another one. These insurance policies will be another one. So if something just happens, you can't attend work, there needs to be enough money in the bank that will cover you for the next 2 months. That's an absolute minimum, not less than 2 months. 2 months, up to 24 months. Okay, we'll get up to 24 some other time. But if you're spending 3,000 a month, you need to have 6,000 put aside as safety money. Just call it safety money. Okay, and where some of that might come is where you're saving money aside and borrowing on the other side. But I'll explain these better ahead with an example. I'm presuming, because we're all flesh and blood, that where you might be is you're throwing a bit of money at all your debts. Okay, and each month is a tightrope. Will enough come in to cover payments for each of those debts? Whether it's interest only or mortgages, whether it's minimum payments on your credit card, you get where I'm going. So that's where you may be. If you are there, okay, we certainly can't keep this up for our entire life. And I'm sure you'd love to get to where you've no debt and have money working for you, that you're living off the interest, something like that. So debt seduces, makes us feel better. You can buy a house, extra apartment in Spain, and this isn't happening now, of course, but that's what it was. You're putting a holiday on the credit card or putting Christmas on the credit card, and so the debt is rising, whereas you prefer to have no debt and just be building wealth. So it's the long term, but long term, listen, time is fine. Long term isn't that long. The truth about debt, though, is it makes goods more expensive. So I'll give you a simple example. You buy a 30,000 car, you get a car loan for 30,000. The rate might be 8%. Okay, and I'll just show you something here. Here is a loan calculator on Excel. For a 30,000 car, the interest rate minimum now would be 9%. So I'm at the low end. So that was a 5-year loan for a new car or a good second-hand car. The 30,000 plus the interest, 37,365 is what that 30,000 car cost you. So you might have done a good deal, you think in the garage, oh yeah, I knocked them down a good few quid. By the time you've finished paying off the car loan, it's cost you more than what the car actually cost. So cars don't go up in value, and same will go for home mortgages. I'll show you a few examples ahead. But just think about credit differently. I know the government is trying to get the credit flow running again, and we do need it for business to grease the wheels, but essentially, credit makes things more expensive. Houses more expensive, furniture, TVs, DVDs, you get the point. So banks and credit unions, that's how they make the money, is lending. They want you to borrow. That's why in this country the banks are broke. They lent out in the wrong way. But they'll start lending again eventually, because that's how they make money. They'll just be covering themselves a lot stronger on collateral. Here's another example where a home mortgage, 150,000 would buy a lot these days. 4% would be as low an interest rate as you might expect. Half of that interest rate is profit to the bank, and well, in this case, 3% of it, because they're borrowing at 1% from the IMF. But 150,000 over the 25-year term works out at 87,300 of interest at that rate. If the interest rate goes up to 5-6%, you're paying a lot more in interest over the term. So the house might cost you 150, but it's not really costing 150. In that example, if interest rates stayed fixed for the whole lot, 237,000. Okay, so it's made a cheap house dear. You get the point, and maybe it'll go up in value of the house and beat that. Maybe it won't. Who knows? There's our car loan example. Okay, 37,365. So what you thought was the cost of the car is actually different. So just to start thinking about credit differently. The payment trap we're all in. You know, if you add up our wages and multiply it year by year over the course of quite a number of years, €1 million has gone through your bank account. So you're a millionaire really. And if I give you $1 million and said manage that, you'll be kind of in a tizzy for a little while. But it comes in regular installments or dribs and drabs each month, depending on what type of business you're in. And it's gone before you earn it. Sometimes people are just waiting for their check to come in so they can pay the minimum payment. So money coming in is money going out. So it can be tough going managing your cash. So I just wanted to focus you on these thoughts. Where we want to get to, and I'll show you how to do it now, is we want to operate 100% in cash. And if you have cash in your pocket and you're going in to buy something, certainly if you show the cash, you'll get a discount. Cash payments are discounts, simple as that. You don't want any debt to drain you. Debt drains you. But each euro you pay off your debt or off what you owe, it will make you that €1 better off. Okay. So some items to think of. There's a 10% rule. This is worth being a yearly goal on New Year's Eve when you say, what will I do next year? What's my New Year's resolution? If the 10% rule, which is I'm going to cut what I'm spending by 10%, if that's your New Year's resolution, it'll be the best New Year's resolution you've ever done. Write it on the front of your diary, or on your iPhone, or somewhere in the car, just stuck up on the visor. Every time you pull down the visor, cut spending 10% is there reminding you. If you do nothing but cut spending by 10%, okay, that alone will be a major step. And it's how you apply that saving, not use it for an offensive holiday, but how you apply that saving, which will make the real difference. And so we'll be looking at what we're paying off and in what order, and then we'll be aiming to accelerate your cash management to make you a little bit more wealthier. So I want you to have a think about this one now. What are you worth financially? It's different terms for these things: statement of net worth, statement of affairs. Effectively, if you listed, and you can do it right now, even top of your head, list down what you own and what it's worth today. So you might write your house, you might write your car, you might write down you have 1,000 in the bank. You own some furniture, but what's it worth? You went to sell it, you know, it's not worth what you paid for it. But list down what you own and what it's worth, and then beneath that, list down what money you owe to people and how much you owe them. So it could be a mortgage, could be a car loan, could be a loan to Dell for buying the laptop. You get the point. Credit card debt. List them down. So the difference between what you own and what you owe is what you're worth financially. So I'm going to show you a real life example of someone else's. This is Bill and Brenda. Sorry, that's not one. This is the one. Personal net worth. So Bill and Brenda, we'll be coming back to them in a little while. They own their home. They have 2 cars, a Mondeo, which is an old one, worth 1,000, and a people carrier. They have saving schemes at 2 institutions, which are apparently worth about 9,000. They have €100 in the bank. We'll see why they have €100 in a minute. The house has dropped in value, so it's nearly worth the same as a mortgage now. 200,000 owed on a mortgage to one of the main banks. There's a car loan of 10,000. There's hire purchase agreements on a good bit of the furniture. Same with the TV system that they just had to have. A couple of Visa cards maxed. Okay, so they own 230,000 worth of goods and cash, and they owe 224. So they're worth, after all their years of loving and toiling, 5,534. So that's what they're worth. Okay, we'll come back to that in a little while. And we'll push on. So hopefully you're keeping track of this. So we need to forget about the luck in inheriting and marrying money. If it happens, great. But listen, don't depend on it. But we want to look at cutting out financial waste in your personal life. So this week or this month, I'd like you to write down what you currently spend each month on the essentials, your mortgage or your rent. If you have a second home or apartment, what's going out on that every month? Insurance, car loan, different taxes. Credit card minimum payments, car loans, hire purchase. Okay, just write down what goes out every month. Okay, same with food, we'll go into it. ESB, telephone, the personal items. So just to differentiate, if you have a business and it's paying rent, ignore that for the moment. Business will be a different day. This is personal. So can you save 10% of your net income to tackle your debts? Well, I think if you really put your mind to it and you want to, you can. Okay. So now other definite items that should be here if they're not are serious illness cover, VHI, life cover. Remember those items? And we want to start putting some cash away every month that we've 2 months worth of expenditure covered if something goes wrong for us. Okay, so you need to estimate what goes out every month. And now we're going to take a second look at Brenda and Bill. They aren't getting on too good in that photograph now. But there's their CV. Married with 2 kids, 2 young kids. Between them on the 2 jobs at 5,000 a month coming in. They've a couple of cars, but they need both of them. 2 holidays a year, one abroad. They've Sky TV, they've DVD players, TV in a few rooms. They're both in the gym. The saving schemes that they have are with Canada Life and Scottish Provident. They didn't want to invest them in Ireland. They've health cover at least with Bupa. And 150 goes into a pension for Bill, but nothing for Brenda. And 15 euros goes to St. John of God's because he knew someone who was there one time, they helped them out. And they eat lunch out all the time on their jobs. The days are flying. They wake up in the morning, they pass like ships in the night on the landing when they come home. And as soon as money comes in, it's gone. So tensions are rising. You get the point. And we'll just look at where their money goes. There's the 5,000, and there's nothing really surprising here. Okay, now a couple of those items. The mortgage, you've seen, because we did this a minute ago. Where they have the 20-year home mortgage, the 5-year car loan, this is the statement of net worth, the furniture hire purchase, the Visa cards, and the HP. Okay, so these are all getting paid for. 2,053 a month going on that mortgage. 202 and so on. You see where the money is going? Visas, hire purchase. Then there's the other stuff. Okay, Bupa's 120 a month. 25 euros and 31 goes to 2 savings schemes. Food, heat, those bills come at 1,000, and that's tight. Sky is 60 a month. Lunch is eaten out at work. Other entertainment, another 400, and there's something from the school all the time. So the 5,000 doesn't belong going. They have 31 euros a month left over, and it's hard to build a future on that. So, but the house is being paid off on the loan, but not really getting anywhere. And that's what's going on with Bill and Brenda. So, we're going to look at what to do. Now, you might need to make this a little bit bigger for yourself so that you can see this area of the screen big enough. You see, can I make the screen a bit bigger? See a few questions coming in. 27 people in this webinar, by the way, and thanks very much for taking the time. I know what it's like. Hopefully you'll get a payoff. Okay, I'm just going to look at the headings here, right? Down the left, we're listing again what we owe. Okay, don't worry about what we own for the moment, what we owe. And that initially came from here. 20-year home mortgage, we listed these out, and you've listed them out, hopefully now. So there it is, down to the Visa cards. So there's all what they owe. That's what was owed on them, exact same figures, comes to 224,566. See here, 224,566. So nothing is changing, no tricks to this. There's the payments every month that you just saw on our payment plan. Now food and all that, we can't, that's not debt. You have to live on that. So there's the 2,053 going off on the mortgage. Paying down the mortgage, but years and years to go. The 5-year car loan, 202. Okay, so there's the balance owing and the monthly payments. Now you need to do a bit of maths. Months to go. Now trust me on this one. If you divide the 200,000 there by the monthly payment, forget about interest rates going up and down. Trust me on this one. There's 97 months to pay off. So we're going to have to, so you're just going to divide, in that case, the 200,000 divided by 2,053 is 97. Same thing with the car loan. 10,000 divided by 202, it's 50. And so on. 7,000 divided by 219. So we want to see how many payments are left in each of those debts. Okay, so 97 months left on the home mortgage, 50 months on the 5-year car loan, 32 on the furniture, keeps on going, 25, 27, and 26 on that last Visa card. Add up those months, 97 in one, 50 on the other. When you add them all up, there's 256 months worth of spending to go on here. Now, you don't have to be Einstein, but if you divide that by 12, that's 21 years worth of debt there. Now, these two have young kids in national school, years won't be long going, but 21 years is a killer. So now we're going to say, right, how can we bring that down? So number one, let's kind of pick on, this is just to pick on what would be, say, the lowest. Maybe number one should have been the 850, but anyway, doesn't really matter. We want to look at what, there's no tax breaks on any of this debt, by the way. So the TV hire purchase, going to get rid of that one first. It's the lowest or nearly the lowest. One, we'll get rid of that one first. Then two happen to be let's get rid of the Visa cards. The 3,500 Visa card and then the 850. Number four is the furniture HP. That's the next one higher, 7,000. Then you have the car loan, then you have the big house mortgage. So we've just ranked them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are we going to get rid of and in what order? Start with the small ones. Start making headway. Okay? Don't start with the big mortgage where it might take you a good few years and you still have the small ones hanging over you. Start with the small ones, get rid of stuff. Okay? Now, if they've got 5,000 a month coming in and they cut their expenditure by 10%, there's an extra 500 to be found. Now, where are they going to cut that expenditure? We've kind of already looked at it. You know, they're not going to go out to lunch as much. Do you need Sky? Do you need all these saving schemes if you're borrowing money? You know, so it's pointless, believe me. It's pointless saving money and borrowing at the same time. Don't borrow and use the savings is one of the approaches, or use the savings to pay down the borrowings. But having the two going together is just ludicrous. And so they found an extra 500 a month by doing what they're doing. And where do they find that 500 a month? This is where they found it. And write these down. 31 euros they stopped paying into Scottish Provident, which was the savings scheme, and they made the savings scheme paid up. They said, Mr. Scottish, we're not paying in anymore. Send us the check for what it's worth. 25 euros was stopped paying into Canada Life, same thing. John and God's waiting for another day when we can afford it. So we stopped paying the 15 euros a month to that. We made the pension paid up to say we're not going to pay into you for the time being. We have a new strategy. 150 a month we stopped paying into that. 30 was saved by changing from Sky TV to NTL. They got a different package. So the TV is still in the house and all that, but there's not 60 a month going out servicing, only 30. So that saved 30. 50 was saved by cancelling the gym membership and they went out walking in the evenings and mornings to get fit. And 200 a month was saved by having sandwiches and work 3 days a week and cutting their entertainment slightly. So eating in, whatever a restaurant charges you, half of that is profit to the restaurant and half of that is the cost of the food. So it's not hard to save on eating in lunches and cooking in and bringing a flask to work or stuff like that, besides buying the breakfast roll in the local garage every morning. So there was the 500. So just to repeat, 31 for Scottish Provident, 25 from Canada Life, 15 from John and God's, 150 saved from paying into the pension, 30 saved from changing Sky to NTL, 50 saved by cancelling the gym, and 200 a month was saved by having sandwiches that work 3 days a week. So we're back here. You see the 500 there now? So instead of there being 2,768 per month over here going out, we've now added 500 to that. We've 3,268 available. So what do we do with that? What you do is we look at the way we rank. Let's look at number one here. We were paying 130 a month. We're going to add the 500 in total to that 130 and pay 630 a month. And all of a sudden, on the TV hire purchase, which we're sorry we bought, 5 months later, that is gone. Where's the 5 months come from? See, months to pay off. I divide the 630 into 3216. I get 5 months. You can do the maths. And okay, 5 months go by. Okay, what happens next? We go to number 2 on our list, the Visa card. But instead of paying the 131 a month, okay, we're adding 131 plus what we were paying off the hire purchase, which was 630. So 131 plus the 630 is 761. So each month, the minimum payments are going along all the time, 131, getting us nowhere. And now we've put 761 against. 5 months later, that 3,500 credit card is cleared and we cut it in half. Okay. Then we move on to number 3, which is the other Visa card. We were paying 33 a month. We now add the 761. You see where we're going? And in 1 month, we threw 794 against that credit card. It's virtually all gone. The month or a few days over. Okay, so 1 month later. And so it goes on. Next goes the furniture hire purchase. We're up to 1,013. And by the time all these little months go by, a couple of years, we're now throwing 3,268, which is this figure down here. All these other loans are gone now. The car loan, the furniture HP, the TV HP. So we've got money that we're not used to having in our back pocket. 3,268 we start throwing against the monthly mortgage. And that will come down. Instead of in 97 months, it will come down in 61. So let's really look at these numbers. At the very start of this, we had 21 years of debt, 256 months. At the end, we've 87. And 87 months is just over 7 years. Okay, so a house is paid off, cars are paid off, everything's paid off. And we've got 3268. And you're not changing the cars, you're minding the cars and all that. But you can see by focusing on what you're spending, how you can clear the decks as regards debt. Now you've got to cut out those stupid coffees, impulse buys, sleep overnight, and do you really want them? But stop saving money if you're borrowing with the other hand. But let's look at what happened to Bill and Brenda. Okay, that was the start. They were stressed out. Here they are. All their debt was gone in just over the 7 years, and their lifestyle didn't go down. As regards safety money, okay, when they cashed in those two saving schemes that were just making no money between commissions to the broker and ups and downs of the stock market, they didn't even get back what they put into it. But all of a sudden, there was 9,000 there because they've been paying in blindly for so long. And of that 9,000, that's their safety money. If one of them gets sick and the other one has to take off work to mind them, they have at least a couple of months there until they organise what they're going to do. They also, at this stage, would have serious illness cover and life cover if it needs to be called on. 7 years goes by, every month there's 3,138. And this is an average couple now. They're no different to a lot of other people. 3,138 that they were used to throwing at loans and mortgages that aren't there anymore. So, how you invest that and what you do with it is a seminar or a webinar for another day. But that's a lot of money. And they achieve their financial goals. So that's not bad. And so that's how you call managing your cash. So questions for you. They've been coming in here. Some of them are kind of off the point, debt write-downs. The issue with the banks is, okay, if you've unsecured debt, you can get a write-down, and there's personal insolvency approaches to that, and there's agencies out there who handle that. But effectively, the bank's always afraid that the customer has money hidden away, and why should they give a write-down? You borrow the money, and okay, they might have lent it irresponsibly. They might have encouraged you to borrow it in the first place, but it's hard to get the write-down. It happens the odd time, but it's not out there, to be got, So you can't really rely on that. Whatever about not paying back a loan and there being a judgment against you and trying to do a situation to sort out afterwards. It starts with managing yourself. So knowing where your money's coming from, looking at your spending, committing to cutting 10% of it, and then of the 10% you cut, knowing what to pay off and in what order. Interest rates are another one. As interest rates go up, everything gets more expensive because everything has to be covered. But people are wondering, can you get the interest rate cut? The question, the terminology, in other words, is margin. If you see at the bank in the agreement have a 2% margin and they're going to charge you, say, 3%, 3 plus 2 is 5. What they have is of the interest they're charging. If the interest is 5,000 a year on a 100,000 mortgage, 3% is what they borrowed at, and the 2% they charged you, 2,000, is what they're charging you for the pleasure of borrowing the money from them, plus maybe arrangement fees. So interest rates are always relevant. Look at them, negotiate. Earning more. Now this is one for another day, how to earn 10% more. Whatever about cutting your spending by 10%, okay, you certainly can go at that. Don't cut out the important stuff like the life insurance, critical illness cover, health cover, food, mortgage, rent, don't cut those things out. But whatever about cutting down the spending by 10%, if you combine that with earning another 10%, things really start to happen then. So bear that in mind, and we'll cross that another day. But right now, and I'd just like to say, first of all, you should, at the end of this, write down your total monthly income. What is coming in? And 10% of that is what you want to start identifying as regards saving. Don't be loaning people money or stuff like that, unless you have it. Be careful. Listen, I've been there. Anything I'm saying here, I've been there myself. Add up your total monthly outgoings. Where is this money going? Look at your bank statement. Needless stuff like taking 20 quid out of the ATM and getting a €5 fee for using it. That is crazy. If you're going to use the ATM, take out the maximum, 300, 100, and the €5 fee is fixed. Okay, so you're not going back to it every minute. And only spend the cash in your pocket. If you don't have any cash in your pocket to go out for a pint on Friday night, well then don't go out. Okay, so just be a bit more responsible. Don't be spending money impulsively because you get a tip for a horse. List down what you own and its value and what you owe and its value. See where you stand first of all, and we'll try and improve on that. Look at this webinar again. Work out that payoff priority that I put up there earlier. And that's a real example, and there's loads of them. I've done it myself. I've had other people do it. And yes, there's hiccups over the years, but I focus in tonight on financial protection. Those insurance policies, shop around. Shop around. Don't just go down to the bank and buy one. There's 7 or 8 policies, sorry, 7 or 8 crowds that do it. They're all good. We've agencies for some of them as well. If you want to look what they do, just click on our website. But certainly get it, shop around, or get it wherever you like, and every year look at, can I cut the cost of this by 10%? But certainly get it, because even after you take out these policies, there's often a 6-month situation whereby if any illness comes up, you can't claim off it until 6 months has gone by. And if you have any questions, any more questions, contact www.kevinbarry.ie, and our contact details are on there. And that's the scene. So I hope you got a bit of an eye-opener tonight. We'll send you a poll in due course. Maybe just give us your feedback, or feel free to email us your feedback. And if you need any help with your own payoff priorities or anything like that, email us, and I'll point you in the right direction to fix it up. Okay? Thanks very much for attending. And we'll have one of these every week anyway, but it's on the same theme. Okay? Becoming wealthy. And just remember, what truly wealthy is, it's not all cash. Thanks very much for listening tonight.